You're a leech. Get out of your parents' place now. I was rolling down the hallway in my wheelchair when suddenly my sister-in-law came up to me. She started her usual taunting, but I acted like I didn't hear her. Then she blocked my path, and before I knew it, I felt weightless, then a sharp pain as I crashed to the floor. Catherine had shoved me and my wheelchair down. My arm throbbed with pain as I lay there, and she just laughed and kicked my wheelchair away. You deserve this. I won't give it back until you leave. Catherine always treated me like trash, like it was no big deal. I couldn't understand her cruelty. That's when I decided to leave that place I once called home. Now with the big house and all its riches to myself, Catherine smirked like some evil creature satisfied with herself. In that moment, I vowed to get revenge on my sister-in-law, who cared only for her own selfish desires. I'm Emily, 33 years old. 3 years ago, on a rainy day at the station, I slipped on a step, fell, and ended up with paraplegia. Now I rely on my wheelchair for everything. When I first realized I couldn't move my legs, I cried out of frustration. But with time, I've come to terms with my new reality and adapted as best as I can. I even work from home now. Originally, I lived with my parents, but 2 years ago, we remodeled the house to make it more wheelchair-friendly. Because I'm conscious of being seen, I tend to spend most of my time indoors. My brother and his wife, Catherine, who got married a year ago, also live with us in our family home. Catherine is 3 years older than me. At first, I was thrilled, feeling like I had gained a real sister. But that was a big mistake. On the day Catherine moved in, after unpacking, she smiled at me and asked if we could have a heart-to-heart talk in my room to improve our relationship. I eagerly agreed, expecting a pleasant chat. As Catherine pushed my wheelchair into my room and closed the door with a bang, her expression changed completely. Gone was the gentle demeanor. Now she frowned as if she were a different person. Then she said something shocking. You know, you're an eyesore. It's not just your legs, even your ears are bad. You in that wheelchair are an eyesore. Stunned by Catherine's sudden hostility, I could only respond vaguely, trying to laugh it off. That's a joke, right? I asked, but Catherine didn't back down. First of all, I hate jokes. It's all true, obviously. But didn't you just say you wanted to get along? That was just an excuse to be alone with you. Her unexpected words threw me into a panic, and my hands started to shake as I covered my mouth. Wait a minute, I can't grasp the situation. Does she hate me? I thought, taking a deep breath and trying to comprehend what had just been said. But Catherine didn't stop there. She continued to berate me. You're a parasite, living off others without working, just loafing around the house, she spat out. Feeling a mix of disbelief and hurt, I mustered the courage to look Catherine in the eye and respond. I do work and contribute to the household expenses. I defended myself, but Catherine wouldn't believe me. Don't lie. How can you work if you're always at home, idiot? She countered. Trying to make sense of the situation, I was left bewildered. Being berated like this by my brother's wife, whom I'd only met a few times since their marriage, was a huge shock. Unsure of what to do next, I wondered if I should tell my brother about what had happened. But just as I was about to leave my room, memories flooded back to me. The moment I woke up in the hospital after my accident, realizing I couldn't move my legs. Back then, I couldn't accept this new reality about myself. Despite claiming to look forward to the future, I hardly leave the house due to my self-consciousness about others' stares. Maybe Catherine is going through something similar, I thought. Instead of causing more trouble by talking to my brother and parents, I decided to wait and see. Surely, if we lived together, we would eventually understand each other. With that in mind, I calmed my trembling heart. I made efforts to initiate conversations with Catherine, hoping to build a friendly relationship. However, her cold attitude only grew worse with each passing day. When our parents and brother were around, she acted like a caring sister. But as soon as they left for work, she started harassing me. One day she quoted, "He who does not work, neither shall he eat," before throwing away my lunch as soon as I sat down to eat. Despite my attempts to explain that I do work and contribute to the household expenses, Catherine wouldn't listen. She not only verbally abused me, but also deliberately obstructed my door with objects to trap me in my room. Unable to endure it any longer, I decided to tell my parents and brother about the situation in Catherine's presence, so she couldn't deny it. I explained how Catherine had been throwing away my food and trapping me in my room, causing me trouble. However, Catherine quickly denied everything, claiming that she threw away the food because she didn't like it and accidentally left the vacuum cleaner in front of my room while cleaning. She apologized for her actions, admitting to being an imperfect wife and causing me discomfort. Catherine's tearful apology, which seemed like something out of a movie, completely fooled my parents and brother. Realizing I couldn't win this battle, I started to think it might be best to just avoid dealing with her altogether. From then on, I mostly stayed in my room, hardly speaking to anyone. A year later, as I was heading back to my room after breakfast, I ran into Catherine in the hallway, and she immediately started berating me again. Still planning to squat at your parents' house? I'm sick of persistent pests like you. Useless parasites should leave right now. Though being verbally abused had become routine, I pretended not to hear her. But when she blocked my way and refused to move, I tried to push past her. That's when she sneered and forcefully kicked my wheelchair. I was jolted by the impact and tumbled to the ground, feeling a sharp pain shoot through my arm. Struggling to get up, I found myself unable to lift the fallen wheelchair. As I lay there in pain and humiliation, Catherine stood over me, arms crossed, trying to contain her laughter. Pathetic, she scoffed. What a sight. Begging for help, I pleaded for her to return my wheelchair. But she only kicked it further away, out of my reach, saying she wouldn't give it back until I agreed to leave the house. Seeing her look down on me while committing such cruel acts made me realize I had to leave the home I once knew. With newfound determination, I decided to move to a high-rise apartment. But Catherine scoffed at the idea, mocking my ability to afford it. Despite her disbelief, I insisted on leaving the house and asked for my wheelchair back. The helper will be here soon, so ask them for help. Finally, I can get rid of this money eater. Now this big house and all its wealth are all mine. Get out your precious wheelchair and start packing right away. For the first time, I realized this was Catherine's true nature, to go to such lengths for her own desires. She truly was a terrifying person, becoming the devil in my eyes. She left without returning my wheelchair, leaving me exposed and shivering on the cold floor of the hallway during the winter season. My body temperature quickly drained, and despite my efforts to crawl towards my wheelchair, my injured arm was too weak to move me even a step. I hoped the helper would arrive soon. What if I had to stay like this forever? As I continued to shiver from the cold, I heard the front door open, and the helper arrived. I cried out for help, and the helper rushed over, noticing something was wrong. They immediately took me to the hospital, where fortunately, it was determined to be just a bruise with no bone abnormalities. I was prescribed ointment and returned home with a bitter feeling, beginning to prepare to move out. I wouldn't let this go. I would reveal Catherine's true nature and make her regret it. On the day of the move, Catherine was getting ready to leave after finishing her breakfast. She hurriedly headed to the front door, making sure to tell me one last thing. Make sure you clean up and leave before I get back, and never come back to this house again. I replied firmly, you don't have to worry. I'll be gone from here for good. Then, with a bitter finality, I said, goodbye forever. Goodbye. Catherine seemed unusually cheerful, and I couldn't help but wonder what her reaction would be when she found out about the impending tragedy that awaited her. My plan was nearing completion, but despite this, leaving the home I had grown attached to felt like being forcefully pulled away. I bid my farewells by touching the pillars and walls one last time, expressing my gratitude. Goodbye, my beloved home. Thank you for everything. As the moving truck drove away, I watched the house disappear from view, feeling a sense of longing. True to my word to Catherine, I moved to the top floor of a high-rise apartment. Looking out at the view outside, I felt a sense of excitement about my new life. However, my moment of excitement was interrupted by a phone call. Glancing at the screen, I saw Catherine's name displayed. Calmly, I answered the call. "Hey, what's going on?" Catherine's voice sounded frantic. "There's nothing left in the house." "What's going on?" I replied coolly, "It's because I've moved out. I'm busy, so I'm going to hang up now." But Catherine wasn't having it. "Wait a minute. Who gave you permission to do such a thing? There's no TV, no air conditioner, not even a dresser. What have you done? Everything in the house was bought by me, so I don't need permission, do I?" "Nonsense. Return them at once." Catherine's voice rang with indignation. I remained firm. "I won't be returning any of my belongings. By the way, the house is being converted to barrier-free, and the utility bills have all been paid by me. You know, I should actually be asking you for money." Catherine couldn't believe it. "You can't be serious. You don't like jokes, so I'm being honest here. And yes, I've moved to a high-rise apartment, just as I declared. It's the top floor, so the view is amazing." Since she called, I took the opportunity to tell her the truth that Catherine never bothered to listen to before. "Did you know that the person you've been ridiculing all this time was the one providing you with food and a place to live? How do you feel now?" Catherine scoffed. "That can't be. I've never been fed by you. How could someone who was holed up in the house earn any money?" I revealed, "I'm a stock trader making a killing. I used to work as a stockbroker before I became wheelchair-bound, so managing stocks is easy for me. Thanks to that, I now have savings of $3 million. Catherine's true feelings slipped out. "Wait, don't tell me it's not your parents who are rich but you?" I confirmed, "That's right. My parents and brother earn an average income, so I've saved up all my earnings for their retirement. I thought you were wealthy because of the big house and renovations." Catherine's shock was evident. "Ah, I was completely fooled. It seems you've misunderstood on your own." I continued, "By the way, I also manage assets, and aside from the apartment I moved into today, I own several other properties. The real winner here is me." Catherine's tone turned hostile. "You? I won't forgive you." But I remained unfazed. "Make all the noise you want. You should be more worried about yourself, though. I've put the house up for sale. We've already moved out with my parents and brother, so you're the only one left behind." Catherine's panic was palpable. "That's too much. My parents and brother have moved out with me." I chuckled inwardly. "Oh, right. I forgot to mention, my brother has already blocked your phone and emails." Catherine's desperation was evident as she tried to contact my brother, only to be met with failure. "All this was possible because you knocked me over in my wheelchair and injured me. Thank you for that." I concluded. The helper saw what happened and told my parents, which is why my family cooperated with me. In fact, we have been secretly planning to leave the house without Catherine noticing. Moreover, my brother had prepared something else to ensure Catherine would be caught off guard. "Didn't my brother suggest last night, why don't you go out tomorrow? It's going to be tough with the move. That was to empty the house without you noticing." Catherine was silent for a moment, likely at a loss for words. Then she suddenly changed her tone, attempting to sound sweet. "Emily, I guess I went a bit too far with my pranks. From now on, I'll cherish you, so let's get along." But I wasn't buying it. "Lying like that will only make your nose grow like Pinocchio. Don't nitpick. I want to be like real sisters with you, Emily." I couldn't stand her deceit. "I can't stand to listen to such nonsense. By the way, this whole conversation is on speakerphone, and both my parents and brother are listening. And none of them will forgive you, but my brother will divorce you. So please, live well on your own." Catherine realized she was getting nowhere with me and made a last-ditch effort. "Honey, can you hear me? This divorce talk is just a joke, right?" My brother didn't seem inclined to answer her question. He was listening and laughing at her distress. "Shut up," was all Catherine got in response. "Hey, let's talk this over properly, okay?" Catherine pleaded. Okay. I'll find out where the high rise is and come over right away. Please tell me where it is." Surprised by her belief that she could still be forgiven, we all burst into laughter. But considering Catherine's persistence, I sternly warned her in a firm voice, "If you try to enter the high rise without permission, I will sue you for trespassing." Catherine tried to brush off my warning. "Oh, don't say such scary things. I'm very serious." But I wasn't backing down. Moreover, for knocking me over in my wheelchair and causing injury, as well as the emotional distress, I will file a civil lawsuit for compensation. I have the medical certificate, so you can't escape this. Pay $20,000 promptly, please. Catherine panicked. "If I have to pay that, I'll be broke. You have $3 million. You don't need the money." But I stood firm. "I'm demanding compensation to make you reflect on your actions. If you disagree, talk to my lawyer. So goodbye forever." Desperate not to lose her wealthy spouse, Catherine apologized. "I apologize. I'll change my ways, so please forgive me." But I wasn't buying it. "Forgive you? You must be joking." I cut her off decisively, in the end, just to be safe. I took precautions to ensure Catherine couldn't enter the high-rise apartment. I gave a photo of her to the manager and informed them that she was a person of concern. If she even steps inside, the security guards will immediately rush over. My brother no longer wanted to see Catherine's face, so I asked a lawyer I know to finalize the divorce. Since Catherine had squandered my brother's earnings, she only received $20 in the property division. She was living in the house we put up for sale without permission, but was discovered by the real estate company that bought it and was fined for trespassing. Now a criminal, Catherine has become unwelcome even at her own family's home and is wandering the streets without a place to go. As promised, I filed for $2,000 in compensation. I will make sure she pays it no matter what. Our family has moved to a spacious, newly built high-rise apartment and is enjoying our days leisurely. While the large detached house was nice, the unobstructed views from the expansive windows are a refreshing change for me, who always sits in a wheelchair. On clear days, a beautiful mountain range is visible, and at night, the illumination from the building sparkles, providing new delights.